Here's some good news about the fourth stimulus checks. Well, so now I know many of you guys are wondering what new changes are coming for the Social Security beneficiaries. That's all beginning in January next month. Well, there's a ton of progress going on. A lot of news is happening in Congress around the stimulus checks. Not only that, but Social Security benefits. So you want to keep watching this video to find out what happens. For example, Medicare beneficiaries may not end up seeing improvements to the program they were hoping for. At least not anytime soon. And with Democratic Senator Joe Manchin, he said that he would not see the changes made to the Build Back Better Act. And that's because Medicare-related provisions are also in jeopardy. The provisions related to Medicare include one that would allow the federal government to negotiate the price of certain prescriptions, for example. Now, this bill would also cap beneficiaries' out-of-pocket spending for Medicare's Part D benefits. And at $2,000 annually, that's all beginning in 2 years from now, pretty much in 2024. That's with yearly adjustments, and the cost for insulin would be limited to $35 per month. But for some of Medicare's 63 million beneficiaries, the majority of whom are also over 65 years old, limiting out-of-pocket prescription spending could mean saving thousands of dollars per year because there is currently no cap. Roughly 1.2 million enrollees have spent more than $2,000 everybody on prescriptions. And that's a lot of money just going down the drain on prescriptions. President Biden has to keep his word, and I think he should do something about this. He already said during his campaign trails last year that he would try to help other seniors, he would try to decrease student loan debt, and he was also going to send out the fourth stimulus check, and all the stuff that he hasn't done yet. President Biden can definitely step it up a notch and send out more stimulus payments. But I don't know. We'll see if he does it. Because remember, folks, I'm just telling you the news, and I'm not the one that decides. I'm just telling you the news about the fourth stimulus check. But so far, Chuck Schumer said he plans to bring the bill in some form to a vote early next year. That's despite Joe Manchin's lack of support. And now it's uncertain what a revised version of the bill would look like and whether the Medicare provisions would be included. But now, senior citizens and others who receive Social Security checks will soon see a 5.9% increase in their monthly payments. That's the biggest annual raise since 1982. Experts warned that the boost may not be enough to offset the rising inflation. And we all know that inflation's going up very fast, everybody. For example, the COLA goes into effect with December benefits, but those will be paid out in January. The payment dates are determined by the recipient's birthday. Now, the SSA also said it's mailing notices to all recipients in December to alert them to their COLA increase in recipients' My Social Security account. The COLA increase represents the largest in about 40 years due to this year's rising inflation. Each year, Social Security payments are adjusted to reflect the change in price of goods like food and gasoline. But this year, it hasn't proved to be a struggle. At the benefits, the 2021 cost of living increase was a meager 1.3%. This meant seniors were coping with the highest inflation in 40 years throughout 2021 on top of a benefit that had barely budged. Now, gasoline shot up by almost 60% in November compared with the prior year, and food prices have increased about 60%. Now, the government said that earlier this month. The 6% increase in food prices is definitely not something everyone wants to see. Now, Mary Johnson, who is the Social Security and Medicare policy analyst at the Senior Citizens League, which is a big organization pushing for more stimulus payments for our seniors, she said that we are still going to see this tremendous problem with prices. She added that retirees and anybody living on a fixed income needs to be aware that the 5.9% increase may look like a bigger increase than we've gotten. Now, if you guys think that president's then, just leave your thoughts in the comments below.
Losing progressives in both the Senate and the House.
Well, we got to find that sweet spot. And I think as long as everyone's at the table as we're negotiating, I know President Biden has always included all parts of our caucus in these discussions. I think we can reach that sweet spot. Look, a lot of us are going to be disappointed, but we're not going to let perfection be the enemy of getting something done. So we need to get something done. I think we'll be pragmatic about it, but we want to make sure it deals with the issues that we're facing in our communities.
President Biden said in an interview with ABC News this week, quote, "The only thing standing between getting voting rights legislation passed and not getting passed is the filibuster. I support making an exception on voting rights of the filibuster." Majority Leader Chuck Schumer said the Senate would, quote, "consider changes to any rules which prevent us from debating and reaching final conclusion on important legislation." Senator, you've said in the past you'd be open to eliminating that, but because the votes to do that do not exist, you'd like to see bipartisan buy-in to reforming the rules. What's your position now?
Well, Mike, I've been in the Senate for 15 years, and what I would like to see us is return to how the Senate was operating when I first came to the United States Senate, and that is allow issues to come to the floor of the Senate so we can debate. We're supposed to be the greatest debating society institution in the world. We need to be able to debate issues, but we also need to make sure that the minority have an opportunity to offer amendments and get votes on their amendments. And at the end of the day, we should be voting up or down on legislation. That's what we need to do, is to reform the Senate rules so that it acts in its traditional historic sense. We're not doing that today. And I do hope we would have Republicans who would join us in this effort so that the Senate can restore the way that it should be considering legislation.
And of course, some folks favor changing the rules when they're in the majority, and then when they get to be in the minority, they don't care for it so much, right?
Well, Mike, I've been working both in the majority and minority with senators from both sides. We recognize that the Senate is broken as far as the way it operates, and we have to fix that. And yes, voting rights is a good example. There's no reason why we shouldn't be debating this issue on the floor of the United States Senate. It's a timely issue, and it needs the debate in the United States Senate. We should be voting on amendments, and we should allow the majority to rule on these votes on amendments. Let's have a real debate and let the Senate carry out his historic role. So I felt this way when we were in the minority, when I couldn't offer amendments. I feel this way in the majority when we can't get votes up or down. Let's listen to each other. Let's fix the Senate, and let's take up issues such.
They will be following his policies going forward on whether it's the voting rights bill or anything else.
Okay. So back to the issue that I was thinking about. There was that New York Times article 3 days ago that suggested that the vice president thinks, and just summarizing here, that she is being more scrutinized for who she is, not for what she's doing. Isn't that kind of a fair assessment on her part? Because tell me what Vice President Pence did. No one heard him being criticized, and you were reporting then, Jeff.
I was, yeah. You know, I think the first part of my answer to that is it's a tricky job being vice president. You are always the number two, the person who is gets the most attention, and the person who rightly gets to make the decisions that I was just referring to is the number one, and that's the president. The vice president now, in this case, with Kamala Harris, is facing additional scrutiny because she is the first woman and because she's a person of color. If the New York Times is reporting that that's something that's on her radar, that doesn't seem like a stretch to me. Of course that's on her radar. That's on the radar of Democrats. That's on the radar of people who are supporters of Vice President Harris, who feel that she has been unfairly criticized during this first year. All of that said, both President Biden and Vice President Harris have a record. And some of the things that have happened this year with Vice President Harris in terms of what she has said has gotten scrutiny and criticism because the
highest point. And what they're doing is walking away because Democrats understand they're going to be in the minority, and these people are not going to be chairman again for 4, 6, 8 years, God knows how long. So 3 of them are bailing. Senior Democratic leaders